FAL is a Cold War icon. It's also affectionately called the FAL. You'll hear me jump back and forth probably in this video in the pronunciations, and some people get really offended for some reason when you call it a FAL versus an FAL. But the FAL is, again, an icon from the Cold War, and it was tested by the US military. The US military opted to go with the M14, and 90 other nations decided to go with some variation of the FAL. I believe we should have adopted the FAL ourselves, but it became known as the right arm of the free world, and it is probably the best evolution of the big bore battle rifle ever. And then the whole world's militaries went to 5.56 or smaller calibers than big bores like .308. But I would take one of these over a modern day SCAR, and I'm sure that's going to set the comment section on fire. But today I want to talk about a variation of the FAL that was adopted by Austria, and it was called the StG.58. That's what we have here. And it has some unique features that make it stand out from the pack. I remember as a kid being fascinated with the FAL. I remember in Shotgun News they were sold to dealer pricing. They were sold to dealers at $9.99, and even in the 80s that was just an astronomical amount of money. And then when I got into the workforce and I was able to start buying rifles, I started collecting FALs. And so I'll start talking more about them here on the channel, but we're going to start off with this one today. And this one is built by DS Arms. This one was probably built right around 2009, I'm guessing. It has a DS marked receiver, and based on in the serial number and based on conversations on the FAL files, which is a discussion forum, that means that this receiver was made by LMT. Now I'm just going based upon what was posted and discussed on the FAL files. If the prefix in the serial number says DSA and then a number, then that was manufactured by DS Arms themselves in Illinois. So this gun would appear to be an LMT receiver, but it's built on an original Austrian StG.58 kit. So let's take a closer look at this really interesting variant of the FAL. Today we're going to be shooting some American Eagle, which is a 150 grain ball, and I'd like to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying this ammunition to the channel so we can keep things going. It's our highest reoccurring cost is ammunition, so it really helps out when they send us ammo. So we're going to be shooting some 150 grain ball. I have my challenge target down at 100 yards. I confirmed 0 this morning. The thing's spot on. I haven't shot it a whole bunch, and I don't even have my tape here, which I usually do to protect it from brass dings. I know. This one isn't as collectible as a Belgian-made rifle, but they fire from 20-round magazines. The magazines are relatively affordable. This is a metric pattern gun. There's inch pattern and metric pattern, and this is a metric magazine. I only have 10 rounds loaded to start things off. But let's take a closer look at the StG.58 and talk about this particular DS Arms build. Locks open, last shot fired. Drop the magazine out. There's a little button right there by this thumb. And insert a fresh magazine, hit the bolt release, and repeat as needed. All right, so let's take a closer look at the StG.58 from Austria. I knocked the darn target over. One hit from .308 took it out. The StG.58's muzzle device is rather awkward looking, but it serves multiple purposes. First of all, it's a flash hider, and inside the 4 prongs of the flash hider there are threads, and those threads accept a BFA or a blank firing attachment for training purposes. And then you also can use the prongs as a wire cutter. We've demonstrated this previously on the channel. You slide the barbed wire into the slots, fire around, and it will sever the wire. And then last but not least, the length and the ribs on the muzzle device serve as a grenade launching point. A standard NATO grenade would be used 22 millimeter, and it would be able to fire either anti-personnel or anti-armor grenades. And that brings us to the next feature of the StG.58, and that's its different gas plug here on the end. You'll notice it has a big bar on it, which makes it really easy to adjust between its 2 settings. In this position, with the bar on the left-hand side of the rifle, you'll see that it has an A, and that's its standard setting for firing military ball ammunition. If you want to fire a rifle grenade, you'll depress this little lever and rotate it around, and then on the top you'll see a G there, and that would be your grenade setting. It shuts the gas off. You would use a grenade launching blank to fire the rifle grenade. The StG.58 also came with an integrated bipod that folds nicely into the handguards. The bipod swivels, and that's its full motion of travel there, and is non-adjustable for length. The Austrian rifle also has one of its failing points, in my opinion, that is metal handguards. It has a nice textured finish to the handguards, but they are metal. So this thing on full auto would rapidly heat up and make it almost impossible to touch the handguards very quickly. But even in semi-automatic mode and firing on a summer day, within a few magazines, it's going to be hard to hold on to this rifle unless you have gloves on. I would much prefer the polymer handguard options that were popular on other rifles for other nations, or heck, even wood, but wood can catch on fire, polymer can melt. Steel, it'll stay there and get red hot, but you just won't be able to hold on to it. So there's a compromise. But yeah, I don't really care much for the steel handguards, but they do stand out, making the StG.58 look somewhat unique. It has a standard FAL gas adjustment system here. Now, DS Arms was known for a long time as the highest quality FAL on the market, and this rifle was probably made back around 2009. It has the DS serial number on it, so according to the FAL files, this rifle was an LMT built receiver. This is kind of in DS Arms' heyday. Their current rifles, many people like Gunplumber and stuff like that will tell you that their quality has slipped substantially. I purchased a new rifle last year, and you guys, if you watch that video, see that I had feeding problems with it. I had Chase at Definitive Arms correct. So coming back, we have a non-folding, non-reciprocating charging handle, which is kind of, again, standard fare for an FAL Type 1 receiver. And then we have the carrying handle, and this one has, you know, a different look than other carrying handles on FALs. It's kind of unique to the StG.58. And then we have kind of a standard rear sight here, a non-protected ramp type sight that is graduated out to 600 meters, and then a 200 meter zero, and you just pinch and slide it back and forth in its settings. Over on the other side of the rifle, we have the selector lever. Does not go to the full auto position. And then we have the takedown lever, and we'll take the rifle apart here in a moment. It is a standard metric design, so it uses standard metric magazines. These things are readily available and affordable. This is your magazine release right here. And this is your bolt release. So if you want to release the bolt, you simply push down on this lever and the bolt will snap closed and chamber a new round if you have a loaded magazine in it. All right, so let's break the rifle down and show you what it looks like on the inside. Probably most of you have seen an FAL before on the inside, but I'll just quickly do it for those that haven't. Field stripping the StG.58 is very, very simple, and it's just like pretty much every other FAL out there. Go ahead and drop the magazine out. You can do that by hitting that little release by your thumb and pulling forward on the magazine. It's a rock and locker. It locks on the front and on the rear, similar to the AK-47. Then you want to pull the bolt to the rear by pulling on the charging handle and inspect the chamber and make sure that the rifle is in fact clear. Now you can also lock the bolt open by pushing up on the bolt release lever and pulling the bolt to the rear. And that will lock the bolt open. To release it, all you have to do is push on this little lever again, and that drops the bolt. You'll want the bolt in the forward position to take it apart. Here's your disassembly lever. Sometimes you'll see an L-shaped lever, or you'll see a lever like this one. This one you just pull to the rear, and it will open up. Now you can take your top cover off, just pull it to the rear. That exposes the inner workings of the rifle. You can lift up on this little rod, pull the bolt and carrier rearward. They come right out of the rifle. Notice how you can get to pretty much everything you need to get to clean the rifle. You can take it further in disassembly by taking the screw out of the front handguards, taking your handguards off, but that's not really necessary for field maintenance. You can also take the gas piston and spring out of here if you want to, but again, it's not really necessary for regular field maintenance. You can get right to that chamber and you can punch your bore from the chamber end versus the muzzle, which is great for preserving that crown. So very, very simple. You can take the bolt out of its carrier. At an angle here, and this thing's gonna slide right off into the dirt like everything else I do when I'm making these videos. All right, so you can take the bolt out of the carrier. Here's its firing pin protruding from the rear. All I'm gonna do is lift up on the bolt and then pull forward and push on that firing pin just a little bit, and that'll allow me to take it out. Now, I just recently did an SKS video, and I showed the locking shelf on it was at the rear of the bolt, and the bolt tilts down into its locking position. The FAL operates just like the SKS in that fashion. That's its locking surface there. Putting it back together, you just reverse the process, put your firing pin in first, line up with the hole and just push back, and the bolt and carrier will go right back together. Very simple. That's one of the things I love about the rifle, is how easy it is to maintain. Put your bolt and carrier into the receiver, line them up with the internal rails. You will want to lift up, hold the rifle at an angle like this. I find it's much easier, and then just lift up on the bolt head a little bit and it'll slide right home. Sometimes these top covers can be a little bit troublesome to get back on because you kind of have to pinch them, and they have really fine internal rails that they ride on. So you just kind of line up the slots and push it forward. You'll know if you get it right the first time or not. And then to go ahead and close the rifle up. Quick function check, and she's back together. Very simple to do. I think the StG.58 is probably one of the neatest FALs from the Cold War era. And there's a number of different variations. And boy, I could make video upon video. Well, actually, Ian at Forgotten Weapons could make video upon video about all the different variations of the FAL that were developed over the years. But the StG.58 is one of my favorites. It has a very distinct look to the rifle, and it's just a very, very slick, cool, fun rifle to take out and shoot. Now, when I picked this rifle up, I paid, I think, $1,100 for it or something like that. Back around 2009, 2010, they went for $1,100, $1,200. And this rifle I zeroed when I got it and then just put it away and didn't shoot it much. Today I wanted to bring it out and re-zero it using the American Eagle 150 grain ball. And all I had to do was come up a couple clicks in elevation, which is very easy to do. It doesn't require a special tool, but it does have, there are FAL sight tools out there. The rear end of the sight is adjustable with screws. You tighten one, loosen the other, and it drifts back and forth. And then your front sight is adjustable only for elevation. But yeah, this is one of my favorite FALs, and I'll do more videos if you like videos about FALs. I'll do more videos about other rifles in my collection. Guys, we are viewer supported, so if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms channel, there is a link down below to Patreon. Give that link a click and see what Patreon's all about, and consider joining our Patreon family and our private Facebook group where there's a lot of conversations going on. Also, swing by and check out coppercustom.com. Guys, thanks for 11 years of support, and we'll talk to you soon.